Well, welcome everyone. We'll kick it off and have a busy agenda. I think all of you have an agenda in front of you, and we have a lot of material that we're going to be covering today. A lot of opportunity for some feedback and interaction as well. So welcome to the Tennessee Board of Regents, the College System of Tennessee System Office here in Nashville. So we have been here about 2 years, and we are pleased as punch to be here. Very grateful that we have all the parking that we have, and we look forward to holding any number of different meetings here that may involve you as we go forward. So we're glad you made it here safe and sound, and look forward to having you here today, but also to welcoming you back for various events over the course of your experience as a instructor at one of our Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. My name is Randy Schulte. I'm Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. And Academic Affairs, if you were to say, well, what do you do in Academic Affairs? Well, we do a lot of things. Some things we don't even want to do. Does that ever happen to you? Yeah. But if I were to say, what is the overarching concern of academic affairs at the Tennessee Board of Regents, it has to do with teaching and learning, and the quality thereof. So as we go through today, we'll be giving you a lot of information about various elements and aspects of the Tennessee Board of Regents system and how your individual campus and your individual program fits in to the overarching structure of the Tennessee Board of Regents. But always keep in mind that 95% of your energies and efforts will be devoted to teaching and learning. We fully understand that. It's just, I think, important, and it has been the tradition of the TCATs over the past many years to have an orientation for new faculty. Some of you are probably brand new in the last few weeks joining the ranks. Some of you are new as in this is your first year. You may have started last October or in January or in June. But we try to do this once a year and capture everybody who has started in the last year. Some of you may have been part-time faculty for a period of time and are now full-time faculty. So you'll have quite a bit of exposure and knowledge of the system and of your roles and responsibilities. But this is an opportunity to kind of in one place and one time pull together all of you who are relatively new and give you an opportunity to learn about the system in which you work, on some of the initiatives that we have that are system-wide and even statewide that affect you or may affect you in your program and in your teaching. So my responsibility today is to give you this overview, if you will, of the Tennessee Board of Regents system. And typically, one of the phrases that we use when someone gives you an overview or tries to give you the big picture is we say, well, I'll give you the 30,000-foot view, right? You've probably heard that. Well, this is what happens at the 30,000-foot level. Right? Those of you, have anyone ever flown in a plane before? Okay. Just a few of you. Okay. Well, it's quite an experience. But typically, when you're at 30,000 feet and you look out the window, this is what you see, right? But what we're going to try to do today is to provide you with a view that is rare, but when it happens, it's really astounding. And so when those clouds part, when you dip through them and you're able to see the ground below, you're able to see some of the detail, some of the structure, some of the layout, what winds through, where the roads run. This is kind of what we want to achieve today for you, is to give you this kind of clear overview. We won't be getting down into the traffic. We won't be getting on a houseboat or anything on the river, although that does sound pretty enticing right now. But we'll try to give you a clear picture of the Tennessee Board of Regents system and accreditation bodies, of the various initiatives that were underway to promote workforce development and student success, and especially to throughout realize that although this is a very intense one-day seminar, if you will, that in an unprecedented fashion we are going to move forward with all of you and with your counterparts from West Tennessee and East Tennessee, where we've been the last 3 days, to bring all of you together in a virtual environment, in what we are calling a faculty learning community of new TCAT faculty. So we'll be introducing that throughout the day, but realize that this is not a one and done experience. This is kind of the parade at the beginning of the festival, but from this point forward we're going to keep you connected electronically, and then our plan is in the spring, when we have an in-service week in March, is we'll have some type of reconvening of all of the groups from all areas to kind of celebrate that first year experience and to identify further opportunities for growth and development. So we really hope that we can continue to stay in touch, communicate, and my staff members who are here, who are coordinating this process, Dr. Shaka Hollins and soon to be Dr. Melinda Connors in the back, will be both presenting today and be very, very involved in this entire process with you. So keep that in mind. And also, all of the presentations that we do today, all of the PowerPoint presentations will be posted on that website that you'll have access to. So you're welcome to take notes. You're welcome to doodle. Sometimes that's good. But realize that the cogent material, the bullet points, all the information that will be shared via PowerPoints will be in files on that website, on that D2L platform that you'll have access to. So let me start with just a little bit of some of the key elements, if you will, of the Tennessee Board of Regents system. So the Tennessee Board of Regents system, which was founded by the legislature in 1972, is the largest system of public higher education in Tennessee, with about 120,000 students. We have 40 institutions. 27 are Tennessee colleges of applied technology, and 13 are community colleges, right? Okay, just wanted to see if you knew what they were. So we have 27 TCATs and 13 community colleges in the system. We are governed by a board of citizens. So when we say the Tennessee Board of Regents, most people think about that's the people who work in the office in Nashville, but there actually is a governing board that's comprised of 19 members, and they are appointed by the governor, who is the chairman of the board, and the representatives come from East, Middle, and West Tennessee, so it's a diverse and diffuse board that represents the entire state. The board employs a chancellor. Our chancellor is Dr. Flora Tidings. She's been here for two years, and she is the chief executive of the system, and she is all of our bosses, if you will. I guess all of your bosses too. I mean, she's just, she runs the ship. She's the captain. And she directs all of the things that we do, the enactment of policies, the enactment of directives. So in other words, we don't always have complete control of everything that we're asked to do, right? Who might tell us what to do? I mentioned who sits at the chair of the Tennessee Board of Regents? The governor, okay? So the will of the governor can often be expressed through the Tennessee Board of Regents, and particularly through legislative action that comes from the governor's agenda. So, for example, I'll mention a little bit later our involvement with a legislative requirement that we provide a statewide database for veterans of educational opportunities. And during the course of this year, this academic year, if you will, between now and next June, we'll be building a catalog, if you will, of military learning experiences and how they relate directly to programs at the TCATs, so that we can directly provide those veterans with credit towards their certificate or their degree. And that is something that was not something we dreamed up over a cup of coffee one day. Hey, wouldn't it be neat if we received that directive, you see, from the legislature. So even though we have a board of directors, even though we have a chancellor, very often some of the things that we're involved with, and therefore some of the things that we ask you to be involved with, come from the governor, come from the legislature. And sometimes they come from other special interest groups. We respond to chambers of commerce. We respond to economic and community development initiatives. So we have lots of bosses. We have lots of bosses. My father was an attorney and in a small dairy farming community in upstate New York, and he had his own practice. It was just him and his assistant, and that was it. And one night at the dinner table, and we were talking as a family, and I said to my father, I said, "Dad, it must be great having your job." And he said, "Why do you say that, son?" And he goes, "Because you don't have any boss." And he thought for a moment, and then he said, "Well, actually, son, I have hundreds of bosses. They're called clients. They're called clients." So no matter what situation we're in, there are always others in our community, other stakeholders in our work that provide us with directive as to what we do. So we coordinate all of those things, and especially those things that impact the system as a statewide system. This gives you a little visual, if you will, of the proliferation and the penetration of the Tennessee Board of Regents system and its 40 institutions around the state. So, and this doesn't necessarily capture all of the discrete sites, like when you deliver a training at a corporate center, or when you deliver a training at a regional office of a state agency, or when you deliver training in a dual enrollment site. So if that were the case, we would just kind of just paint the whole state one color, because that's where we're at. So we're very engaged in the entire state, in every nook and cranny, from Elizabethton to Memphis, and I don't know, can you get any further, 2 points, any further apart than that? I'm not quite sure. But as you can see, we're broad and diffuse, and I think it's really one of the testaments to the effectiveness of the system that we're able to work cooperatively and collaboratively so well. So as new employees, as new faculty of the TCAT and of the Tennessee Board of Regents system, I think it's important to understand kind of what is the key agenda for the Tennessee Board of Regents. So I'm going to give you 4 words to remember. So at the end of the day, you only have to remember these 4 words. They are workforce development, student success. All right, everybody say those 4 words. Workforce development, student success. And some people will say, well, they mean the same thing. Well, you're right, okay? So if we are successful with our students, then we are aiding and abetting the workforce development of our state, okay? And if we are responding to a workforce development issue, then we respond with successful students. So student success, workforce development, that is really the essence of our completion agenda. The completion agenda began with the Complete College Tennessee Act of 2010. It has always, of course, been our goal, and the TCATs have been leaders not only within the state, but nationwide of student success and certification, certificate, and diploma completion. But the legislature, in passing the Complete College Act of Tennessee, said, we've got to make student success for all students a priority. When the community and technical college systems began in the 60s and 70s, they were largely developed for opportunity for our citizens, both young people and mature citizens, in other words, adult citizens who are already in the workforce or already raising their families. It was an opportunity for them, but the onus for success was on them. It's up to you, okay? When I went to school, it was like there'd be 3 people. There are 3 in this row, okay? Look at each other, all right? Only one of you is going to graduate. And higher education didn't make any bones about that. It was like, that's the way it is. We plan for 2/3 of you just not to get through. It's just going to be too tough for you, right? That is no longer the mantra. Now, look at those 3 gentlemen. All 3 of you are going through. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that all of you succeed. That is the difference in mindset, and we'll get to mindset later. But the mindset now is for completion. And it is tied to our funding. So we have an outcomes-based funding formula now that rewards institutions for the level of student persistence and success that they achieve. In 2013, this completion agenda was kind of ratcheted up and became very public with Governor Haslam's Drive to 55 campaign. Does anyone know what that means, Drive to 55? No one, it's just out there. Okay, well now, I feel like Paul Harvey. Now, the rest of the story. The Drive to 55 was Governor Haslam's proclamation by the year 2025, that 55% of adult Tennesseans would have a post-secondary award. They would have a certificate, a diploma, or a degree. 55%, over half of our Tennessee population by 2025. And this began in about 2013 when about 32% of our population had a post-secondary degree. So, as they say in Smokey and the Bandit, we had a long ways to go and a short time to get there. But the exciting thing is that we're on the road. Okay, we've got the hammer down, and we'll provide some more details on this a little bit later in another presentation about just how successful we are to date with meeting our TBR obligations for the Drive to 55. So 55% of adults will have a college, post-secondary college or university award by 2025. And we set the mark for the entire country. We were the first ones to make that statement. Now other people are saying, well, we're going to have 60%. You know, it's like a poker game. You know, I'll see yours and raise you one. Okay, all good, because the momentum towards student success has never been greater. And the last driver that I'd like to just make sure that you're aware of is the Focus Act of 2016. Again, a legislative action, and what that did in a nutshell was take the 6 universities that include MTSU and TSU and TTU in Middle Tennessee, and took those and made them self-standing, self-governing institutions, what we call locally governed institutions, or LGIs, and allowed the Tennessee Board of Regents to focus on the technical colleges and the community colleges, so the TCATs and the community college. So those 40 institutions of which you are part are our prime and only focus. So that is another driver that has allowed us to really develop programs and develop initiatives and develop the kind of activities that we need for the particular students that we serve. And again, with a strong, strong undercurrent in everything we do of workforce development. So the Board of Regents has a strategic plan. I won't go into this in great depth, but just to let you know that these are kind of the 5 pillars at the gateway of the Tennessee Board of Regents, the values, if you will, that we espouse as a system, and that all of your institutions, all of your campuses reinforce in their own plans and in their own activities. So access and student success, quality is inherent in everything we do. So when the student success agenda was first rolled out, the naysayers say, well, all you're going to do is dummy down the curriculum and let those who normally would have failed out, we'll let those lackadaisical ones, we'll let them slide through, and that way you'll give out more awards. Wrong. So I want to make sure that it's very clear to you that in everything you do to promote student success, that you never lose sight of the quality level that is expected of your program, of your profession, of the licensing or certification requirements, of the accreditation requirements. Those quality standards have to stay in place. We are not dropping the bar down, okay? We are maintaining that high level of quality so that we can support our business and industry, our employers, our communities with the finest products, meaning our students, that we possibly can. We do so with a mindfulness of resourcefulness and efficiency. So we try to optimize our resources, and we also try to expand our resources as well. And I'll cover a couple of those examples in just a second. And then the last and most recent strategic plan priority is partnership, promotion, and advocacy. So we are more and more every day under the leadership of Chancellor Tidings, especially focusing on relationships with our employers, with our industries, with our chambers of commerce, with our other state agencies, to work collaboratively to make all of this take place and happen in a very positive way. And in terms of advocacy, we are doing all we can to literally blow our own horn. We want people to know about you, to know where you are, what you do, what you can do for us. So we were in West Tennessee yesterday, and at TCAT Jackson, President Sisk there gave an example of how they are welcoming the Tyson Corporation into West Tennessee, and he and his counterpart at Jackson State Community College are part of a team that interact with these potential new employers, these new industry developers, and we advocate for the services that we can provide. The same was true with President Murphy at TCAT Knoxville, and he spoke to us about the work that they do, for example, with Denso there. We know that that's the case with each one of your institutions, and that's the kind of advocacy that we need to keep abreast of the workforce development needs of our employers and our industry. So those are our strategic plan key priorities. And just to let you know that to validate that we are achieving those priorities, we collect a heck of a lot of data. So that's one thing that we do at the system office. And we have an office of policy and strategy and research. And we are increasingly putting together relatively complex packages of data for each of the TCAT. I believe President Mandrell, they were just there at TCAT Murfreesboro, is that right?
It's beautiful too. The documents are being created, the front and back visuals of completion and graduation rates. Yeah, really nice work.
Very good.
So I think we were one of the first ones to see that.
Yes. Yep. Good. Glad to hear. So we really want to be able to provide you with a dashboard, if you will, so that you know where you're not only where you're headed, but how fast you're getting there, and how the system is operating. Okay, I don't think we need to provide a dashboard of a Corsair jet fighter, but we certainly want to present a dashboard of data and information so that it really helps to advance the agenda for completion. One of the things that we have done in the Board of Regents system and really throughout Tennessee is provide student support. And that is, student support is spelled with a $. So your students have really some wonderful, wonderful opportunities to help pay for their education. The Wilder Nafee Technical Skills Grant, which has been in place for several years now, many years now, provides up to $2,000 per student to attend a technical college. The Tennessee Reconnect has been, it's been given a lot of press lately because it's expanded to the community colleges, but it has been in place a little bit longer for the TCATs. And the Tennessee Reconnect is another what they call last dollar scholarship to provide any difference for adult students in other aid that they receive and the cost of their tuition and fees. And then the Tennessee Promise. Tennessee Promise is targeted toward what population? High school graduates, correct. Very good. And so again, a last dollar scholarship. So if they have a Hope Scholarship, or if they have Pell Grants, or if they get an award from for being the best math student in their high school, whatever it might be, and there's still a difference in tuition and fees expense, then that's covered by the Tennessee Promise for our high school students. And guess who you're going to be seeing more of as time goes on? High school students, okay? So the growth of the number of high school students in our TCATs is dramatic in the last 5 years, and especially even in the last 2 years. And we can expect that to grow not only through Tennessee Promise and articulation from high school to college, but also through our dual credit and dual enrollment programs. So there's a lot of student support. However, I might just add this caveat that that level of support doesn't cover all of the expenses that a student has to incur in order to go to college. What are some of the other expenses a student might have to pay for? Say,
books and supplies.
Books and supplies.
Tools.
Tools. Yep.
Travel expenses.
Travel expenses. Yeah. Yeah. So those are, any others come to mind?
Childcare.
Childcare, right. Room and board. You still got to eat, live someplace. And very, not always, but sometimes it's the case that students have to cut back on their work hours or not work while they're going to school. So they have those expenses that might have previously been covered by their job. So keep that in mind and realize that as a system we are aware of that and working towards strategies to help in those types of expenses as well. To supplement our state funding and our tuition and fees money, the Tennessee Board of Regents system is also very active in trying to get external funds in. So one of the prime examples is a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They call it the Frontier Set. It's a group of 32 systems and institutions around the country. The Tennessee Board of Regents is one of them. We received a 4-year $2 million grant in 2015. So we're still in the third year now of that grant. That has really helped us to develop a lot of the programs and roll them out. We're supported by the Lumina Foundation. We are very, very much a part of the Complete College America group, and they point us towards funding sources, as does the National Association of Systems Head. I might say this about Complete College America, and that is a nonprofit that is focused almost solely on student success, that about 3 years ago they did a soup to nuts study of the Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. And they had learned by working with us that our completion rates were in the 70 and 80%, our placement rates were in the 70, 80, 90% level, far surpassing the performance of any other post-secondary system in the country, this side of Harvard and Cornell. So they basically said, they basically laid down the glove, if you will, and said to the rest of the country, if they can do it in Tennessee with their colleges of applied technology, why can't we do it everywhere? So I think it's just a testament to the work that has been done in the past and continues to be done at this very high level by the colleges of applied technology. So when you're working so hard and you're struggling to help a particular student understand something, and you're dealing with someone who's coming late or has missed a couple of days, just realize that those efforts that you make are what really differentiate the success that the TCATs and the Board of Regents system experience and other institutions that just let those students fall by the wayside. Within our system, we also have some allocated funds. One is called the Student Engagement, Retention, and Success Grants. And through the THAC, there's another acronym for you coming into higher education in Tennessee. THAC stands for the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. They are kind of the liaison, if you will, between the legislature and the Board of Regents system and all the other higher education systems and institutions in Tennessee. So they are often the recipients of monies that can be used for all types of institutions, universities, public, private, community colleges, TCAT, and we can participate in those grant opportunities as well. I mentioned veterans education, and this is an initiative that we are moving forward with. I want to introduce that second bullet, this concept of prior learning assessment. So it is often the case that you and your programs may welcome a student in who's already working in the field or who grew up in that environment. You know, they're in an HVAC program and their granddad started a heating and ventilation and air conditioning repair business 45 years ago, and their dad's been in it his whole life, and they grew up in it, and they were running to a toolbox to get a wrench or washers when they were 11 years old, and now they've shown up in your classroom to get an award, a certificate or a diploma in HVAC. So they may have some knowledge and skills that they don't need to repeat in the classroom. So this is what we mean by prior learning assessment. We're developing more sophisticated ways of determining if an incoming student should, instead of starting at ground zero, might start at level 1 or level 2 in the program. And we're working on this again system-wide. That's particularly true of our veterans who come in with military training and experience. So how many of you do we have any veterans in the room? People who have gone through, and so you're aware of that. Very often you come out with what they call an MOS, and that MOS, that military occupation service, is has training involved with it, and that training may relate to a program that they want to study at the TCAT or at the community college, for example. We are working statewide to identify those so that everybody will have a resource to say, yes, if you've done this in the military, then these are the credits or the clock hours that you'll be awarded. The completion agenda is really based upon the concept of a guided pathway. So we want to make sure on the front end that as our students come in, they know what they're getting themselves into. So we want to present our programs in such a way that it's very clear as to what you will study and what you can expect when you complete your studies. What's the work world like in this field? Not only what can you expect to earn, but what are the hours? What are the demands of the job? Will you always work from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon with an hour and a half lunch? Could I have that job, please? I would like that job. So we need to make sure that our students have a clear understanding of where that pathway leads. And then help them get on a path. So you'll work closely with your staff members at your TCAT who are involved with advising, with enrollment, with financial aid, to make sure that the students are on the path and they have kind of checked all the boxes. Then once they're there, this is really where you play the key role, is keeping the students on the path. You'll have your students about 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Not all of them all the time, but that's really the model of education. You will be their everything. You will be their contact, not only for the subject matter expertise that you provide, but for all other kinds of life issues, all other kinds of learning issues, studying issues, preparation issues, time management issues. All of those things will come through you. So that charge of being a key relationship in their lives is one that is essential to the success of your students and your program. So keeping those students on their path, no matter how they might wander. I mean, you're going to have some that are going to just want to just zoom, and they're just going to race right down, and they're going to stay in their lane, and they're going to be just, following the white line all the way to the finish. And then there'll be others that want to get off at every exit, get coffee and talk a while. And there'll be others who just drive off the side of the road. I mean, it's like, what are you doing in the ditch? I don't know. How did I get in this ditch? Okay? And it's going to be your key responsibility. Don't go it alone. Okay? There are others there. Reach out. And we hope that this faculty learning community that we're developing will be one resource for you. But the the charge that you have individually is a very profound one. I started teaching when I was 22 years old, and one of the things that attracted me to teaching was autonomy. I had my own classroom, I had my curriculum, I could develop it, I could work with my students the way I wanted to. I was 22 years old, and I was essentially a proprietor. I had complete autonomy, complete authority. One of the greatest liabilities of being a teacher is that very same autonomy, that very same aloneness. You might be the only person in your program on campus. And one of the things we hope to do through this faculty learning community is to give you contacts and build contacts with other professionals in your field from other TCATs. We're doing the same thing. So not only with other new teachers in other programs, but with new teachers who are in your specific field. So whether it's a student issue or whether it's a materials issue, whether it's a software issue, whether it's a learning materials issue or equipment issue, we want to build a network of associates that you can call upon to build your skill set and to help your students. And then finally, guiding students to a goal. We'll talk a little bit later about advisory committees and the whole idea that walking across that stage and getting that diploma or that certificate is a tremendous highlight in each one of our students' lives. But that's not where it ends. That's where it begins, right? That's why graduation ceremonies are called commencements. Took me a long time to figure that out. I thought this was the end. And I had to look up, what does commencement mean? It means the beginning. What? But it's the beginning of their life and their profession, the beginning of their life at the next level of performance. And so we want to help them get to that goal, whether that's helping them get placement, whether it's helping them with articulating to the next level of educational program. We want to help them reach their goal. To do that, we have invested in formally developing a number of high-impact practices. And so keep this in mind. This isn't something that will affect all of you all the time, but you'll see the third bullet down on the left side says learning communities. So essentially, each one of your classes is a learning community. They're all together. They're together for the duration of the program throughout the day. They are often at different levels within that program. So there's a great opportunity for those who've been there for a while to help those that are just starting out as part of an interactive learning community. And of course, we've mentioned it many times already, the idea of building faculty learning communities, we think too is a high impact practice. So many of these are high impact practices that you already incorporate into your curriculum, into your programs like technology enhanced learning and work-based learning. But one of the things that we want to do is try to expand the number of opportunities for TCAT students to participate in a variety of different high-impact practices from service learning to study abroad. One of the other system-wide initiatives that I wanted to share with you is our commitment to the learning mindset. So it is a very simple concept. It simply means that people who believe that they can learn something new, even something that they are not good at, are more likely to succeed than those who think, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not good at that. Right? So the idea of the learning mindset is that through dedication and hard work, our students can learn everything that they need to know. they won't always believe that about themselves. Not all of your students will come to you saying, I'm headed into another educational experience. I love school. I have always loved school. The best days of my life have been in school. Yeah, but not in class, all right? Maybe on the football field, maybe in back behind the gym, maybe underneath the bleachers. I don't know. I'm not going there, okay? But not all of them are going to just come in saying, man, I just throw a book at me, man, I'm just so eager, I want to learn that, okay? And especially when they encounter something that is challenging or difficult for them. So the learning mindset is best captured by my favorite children's book, a book that I read as a child, a book that I read to my children, and a book that I now read to my granddaughter. It's called The Little Engine That Could. Is anyone familiar with that? If not, I'll bring it and I'll read it to you someday. The Little Engine That Could. And the little engine that could had a little chugga chugga chant. Do you remember what the little engine that could said?
I think I can, I think I can.
God, that's beautiful. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. People are making millions of dollars on this learning mindset, on this growth mindset. They're writing books, they're giving lectures, they're on TV, all about the little engine that could. Okay? What we really want to infuse in our students and in ourselves as teachers and in our colleges and in our system is a sense, I think I can. I think I can. Just that commitment, that attitude, okay, that I'll make it over that hill. And if we can build that throughout the mindsets of our teachers and our classes and our colleges, then we'll just create kind of a momentum that will bring the students along. So we are working with a group called the Motivate Lab out of the University of Virginia on mindset, on how to formally build this into the skill sets of our instructors system-wide, and then to infuse this in our students. So this is another thing that maybe not tomorrow or next week, but as we go through the next several years, we'll be more and more formalizing some strategies and some techniques and some teaching tools and some prompts and some assessment tools that will help reinforce this, I think I can, I think I can. Another initiative that we have that will very likely affect you in your programs and many of your programs is the TCAT Community College Articulation Initiative. That we have always been aware that there is really no such thing as a terminal degree. Right? We always want to, we have heard for the last 20 years that lifelong learning is essential. And for those of us who can remember life without a cell phone, all right, I remember being at Boys State when I was in high school, and every morning we were read at the assembly, we were read the day's Dick Tracy comic strip. Does anyone remember Dick Tracy? Dick Tracy had what on his wrist? Remember? Yeah. He had a cell phone. He had an iWatch. All right? Do you remember that? Come on. People give Steve Jobs way too much credit. He just read Dick Tracy when he was a kid. That's all he did. And he just made it happen. So those of us who have lived that part of life, that transition, and to realize that we'll be teaching in classrooms where you're going to have students like me, okay, who began life without any technology. Okay, we finally did get a black and white TV. To those who have grown up with technology monitoring their breathing when they were babies in the crib. They've never lived without it. And so these are the kinds of changes that are taking place and why lifelong learning is so important. So we are building system-wide articulations between TCAT programs and community college programs. Probably the one that has been established that is the most complete at this point in time has to do with industrial maintenance or mechatronics, where you can start a mechatronics certification program at a TCAT. That'll transfer into the community college. The community college will transfer into the university. So that pipeline can go all the way through. In fact, you can actually start in the high school in some instances. So this whole concept of articulation, if you think of that term articulation, which is kind of a mouthful, and I could never spell it, if you just think of the word pipeline, the TCAT to community college pipeline, that's really what we want to provide for our students. And it may not be an immediate thing. It might not be that they get their diploma from TCAT and then the next week go enroll in a community college. They may go out and work in the workforce for 2 or 3 or 4 years. Several years ago, I visited did a review of the Marine and Motorcycle Maintenance Program at Chattanooga State's TCAT. And as part of that review, we brought in some of the alumni. And there were 2 fellows in the room, both of whom had graduated from the program. One had gone to work for Kawasaki, one had gone to work for Honda about 2 or 3 years prior. And we asked them, well, how has your degree benefited you? And they said, fine, we're doing well, we've mastered it, we've moved all the way through. Both of them said the same thing. And I said, well, what's next for you? And they said, well, they both said the same thing. We want to start our own small engine business, small engine repair business. Well, now there's a whole other skill set there. There's the skill set of accounting and marketing and human resources and management and customer relations. Well, what we want to try to do is to build a way to articulate that program into perhaps an entrepreneurship program at a community college. So these are some of our big goals to help our students continue their lifelong learning opportunities. So these are some of the programs that we're working on, and I won't dwell on these because Tashaka is going to go into these in a little bit more depth. So in completion, for my little shtick here, I want to remind you of these 4 words: workforce development, student success. But actually, I'm going to double your assignment. There are 4 more words that I want you to remember. Those are the words of the little engine that could. And what are those words? I think I can. So workforce development, student success, I think I can. If you come out of here today with those as part of your understanding of what it takes to be a successful and prosperous instructor at one of our colleges of applied technology, you're on your way to great things. So we hope that you really enjoy today, that you gain a lot. Ask questions at any time. So do you have any questions for me at this point about the Board of Regents and its roles and responsibilities, or how it affects you? And we'll have a number of presentations throughout the day, and look forward to spending the day here with you.